Good morning. Good morning, One Heart, One Mind. I am going to kick us off with some music. If I have the right music up. And this is Patricia Bahia, who tends to be really upbeat, and I love starting our service off with her because she's so joyous. And this is called It's All Good. I don't think you can get better than that. And I'm just sharing the sound because it's not a video. So I will, I'm sharing my screen. That's not what I meant to do. Oh, I'll try that again. Right. Yeah.
Sitting here in traffic, got the radio on. I'm drumming on the dashboard and I'm singing along. People give me looks 'cause they don't understand. That's just the way I am. I like to talk to strangers every chance I get, 'cause a stranger's just a friend I haven't met yet. I'm 20 minutes late everywhere I go. I stop to smell the flowers and go with the flow. It's all good. No, I don't need a change. It's all good. I'm finding my own way. It's all good. It's all good. People think I'm crazy 'cause I like myself. The way I am, not trying to be nobody else. They say it's extraordinary, even revolutionary, to be the way I am. 'Cause I'm always looking out through rose-colored lenses. They say it's high time I come to my senses, but I'm not trying to fit in no one else's shoes. I'm happy being me, the way that I choose. It's all good. Don't try to change my mind. It's all good. I see the silver lining. All good. It's all good. Yeah, yeah. I'm not saying that I'm happy all the time. I got my highs, I got my lows, but I'd rather see the glass half full, 'cause it makes for a lighter load. It's all good, yeah. It's all good, yeah. Good. It's all good. It's all good, yeah, yeah, yeah. Good, oh, yeah, yeah. Good. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Oh, yeah, yeah.
It is all good. I think that's a true statement to kick off our service this morning. And that leads me to inviting our practitioner of the day, Ralane Clarke, to say a few words and pray us in. Morning, Ralane.
Morning. Yeah, I thought I'd share a little story and then pray us in, okay? And so there's an author. I'm gonna not say his name right, so I'll just prepare you for that. His name is Yitzhak Buxbaum. So I'm going to call him Yitzhak B, because I don't think I'm saying his last name right. And he wrote a book called Jewish Tales of Mystic Joy. And I haven't read it, but I'd like to. And he says a quote that I particularly like and I think fits in with today. Mystic joy comes from a life lived from the very center of ourselves. And he speaks of feeling a holy shiver that sparks from the soul. And so I like to tell a little story that kind of fits in with that. When I was first starting out my career, um, I wasn't quite sure where I was headed. And I got a job working at a sheltered workshop with disabled people. I think a lot of you know I work with people with disabilities. This sheltered workshop, everybody got pushed into this. If they had some sort of a developmental disability or cognitive disability, they were all put in the same shelter. And there was really no opportunity to leave the shelter. There was no growth opportunity. So many of them stayed there for years and years and years. So I didn't really find it to be a particularly happy place, and there was a lot of behavioral issues. But I was promoted to a job called job developer. So I worked out in the community a lot. And my job was to implement a new program that had just been funded by the state of California called supported employment. And so what I did was I went out and I found jobs for people. I talked to employers all the time and tried to find job matches, not just a job, but a job match that would really fit their skills and abilities. And talk to employers about the worthiness and the specialness of hiring somebody with a disability. Also, they could get a tax credit for a year. But what I found out was the employers didn't really care much about the tax credit. What they really wanted was a good employee. And they wanted someone that had a great attitude, that would show up for work every day and love their job and have a good presence. And so I started working with employers and trying to find jobs. And you know what? It was pretty easy. And there was a part of the program which was providing a job coach, which was a trainer that would actually come to the site and provide job training for the person when they got hired. The employer really liked that. But what the job coaches used to report back to me was that the clients didn't really need job coaching, but the employers really wanted to talk about their problems with the job coach. So it was really kind of funny. They didn't want them to stop coming. And so the job was very exciting. And I would take the clients on interviews. And so one day I took a client, her name is Gemma, to an interview. And then I got a call from the employer a few days later that they wanted to hire her. So I went into the workshop to find Gemma, and I said to her, Gemma, you got the job. She started crying and she hugged me like this unbelievable hug. And that, I believe, is that mystic holy shiver that Yitzhak B was talking about. And it just was such an amazing moment for me. I never forget it. And I remember the floor supervisor looked over to me and he said, "You have the best job ever." And I said, "Yes, you're right. I do." So what was really exciting about this is this program was really successful. And one by one, every one of the clients, even if they'd been there for years, got out of the workshop. And they not only got out of the workshop, but they were very successful. They fit in well with their job matches. They liked their jobs very much. Employers liked them too. And you know what? All the behavioral problems that occurred in the workshop never happened. And I truly believe they were living their life. They were given a life to live at that point, right? And isn't that an amazing thing to witness? And that's what I felt so unbelievable. One after one after one. These were the best of the best. They just got jobs and they did wonderful. They thrived. And then they wanted to move out then from their parents' homes. They wanted to live independently. There was this one boy, his name was Steve, young man, and his parents were very wealthy. And they thought Steve would live with them for the rest of their life. And as soon as Steve got a job, he said, "You know what? I'm moving out." I'm going to get my own place. And he did. And he was successful. And I used to go and visit them after they had been working. And you know what? I almost didn't recognize them. They were so changed. They were themselves. They were living their lives. They were happy. I mean, it was just such a joyful moment in my life to have that kind of experience. Now, this story is not about me, it is about them. And it's about their worthiness, their value to live their life to the fullest. And I think this is an example of what maybe a little bit of what Michelle might be talking about. So let's pray. So let's feel that joy, that mystical joy, that shiver, that wonderful feeling that touches our souls, that is our souls, that is of and through our souls, our spirits, our beingness, our divinity. The divinity of all those clients that I worked with that I still remember all their names, the divinity of each and every one of us. We are one. All those wonderful employers, we are one. We are one with life, life energy force. And I know that it is our mission to be here on this earth, to live our lives from our divinity. And so I embrace this talk today with so much love and so much joy and so much feeling that I feel that shiver in and of and through and all around me and in and of and through and all around each and every one of us that are here today. And of course, our lovely Reverend Michelle. And I just am so grateful, so darn grateful that we're all here together and to feel these wonderful feelings of God and goodness and being ourselves, being true to who we are. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, God. And I release this prayer into divine law, knowing, as Neville Goddard always says, it is done, it is so, and so it is. Ah, the new affirmation. I always like being the first one. Life lives in me and through me. Every breath is spirit flowing through me. I am here to live and to live abundantly. Joy shines from me and love lights my way. I live fully now, and so it is.
And so, thank you, Ralane. That really lit me up. I mean, that is exactly what we're talking about today, about living fully. That was beautiful. What a wonderful example. And you got to witness that. How delightful. So that's kind of, let's see. I was going to play one song, but I think I'm going to play a different one because it follows up what you were talking about so well. So I think I'm going to do this one instead. And this is Ricky Byers. We all know this song. You'll recognize it.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, but God's so much more than the earth or the stars or all of creation. God is creator, all in all, needing us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. my hands. What must they do? Command my life. It's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new, and God needs us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. And God needs us to shine its light. God needs us to shine its light. God needs us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do.
What an inspiring song. I love her voice. So, and that's really kind of what we're talking about today is about the flow of life through us, really. Just as Ralane just talked about, that story that she told was really the flow of life moving through these wonderful people that she was helping, these young people that she was finding jobs for. It just lit them up. They had their purpose and it was moving through them. What a wonderful story. So good morning, One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living. And as usual, whether you're joining us in real time or listening to the replay, our community welcomes you. You know, we're a loving and open community, and we're always eager to connect with new people. So anyone can just come and hang out with us and join us at any time. So today's message, as we've kind of led into, is the purpose of life is to live. And I'd really like to open by sharing some words from Ernest Holmes, our founder, that really express this idea, you know, pretty darn well. This first one that I'm gonna share my screen. Let me get it up here, because I think he articulates this idea just so well. So we're gonna hear his words. Oops. Let me make sure. I don't think I got that up. A minute. I think you can see it on the screen now. And he wrote, mankind does not exist to leave a lasting impression upon his environment. Not at all. It is not necessary that we leave any impression. It is not necessary that we leave any impression. It is not necessary, if we should pass on tonight, that anyone should remember that we ever lived. All that means anything is that while we live, we live. And wherever we go from here, we shall keep on living. Oh, I love this idea that life is not about leaving a legacy of major achievements or even to be remembered. Our value and our true meaning is it doesn't come from any external impact that we make. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't show up in our human lives the best that we can be. That does matter. Our contributions of love matter. The way we express the divine in form matters. They contribute to the ongoing upliftment and the evolution of humanity. However, what I hear Holmes saying is that the essence of life is expressed by fully living now, expressing the divine here and now. And that because life is eternal and that we're eternal now, we will continue to live beyond our human experience. And what really matters is how we embody and experience and express life, God, as it flows through us in each moment, right here, right now. How we live and how we love now, how we express and experience God now. That is what matters. And then I have another quote from him, and I put this one together too because I really think it kind of is a little bit more personal. This one seems to really personalize the idea of living fully. Let me get it up. It is not. Let's see, where is it? Oh, here it is. I just moved my screen. Here we go. So this one to me is just a little bit more personalized. And this is on page 386. I can give you the page numbers if you want to find it in the Science of Mind text. But this one says, life is not something to be endured. I think that's what caught my attention. Life is not something to be endured. It's to be lived in joy, in fullness, without limit. The life of the divine is our life now, and it shall go on unfolding forever. Oh, that makes me feel so good to hear those words. It's just so comforting. Knowing that I am an eternal life right now, that comforts me. Knowing that I already have everything I need to live a life that is full and joyous, that comforts me. Knowing that I am empowered to choose and to co-create my life in my oneness with God and creative law, that comforts me. Knowing I live in infinite love comforts me. And it reminds me of this quote by Meister Eckhart, the 13th century mystic and philosopher. He said, I just love this. Any talk of God that does not comfort you is a lie. Any talk of God that doesn't comfort you is a lie. We know that we're one with our source right here, right now, not somewhere off in the future. That the richness and the fullness of life and all of its potential is right here, right now, always available. So any talk of God that does not comfort you is simply not true. It is in our oneness and our knowing that we are eternal now that we find comfort. So last week, to the best of my ability, I spoke about consciousness. I'm going to kind of revisit that a little bit here. And what consciousness is, which, as it turns out, is not an easy thing to define. But in these two Holmes quotes, I believe he touched on living in a consciousness of God. Consciousness is our personal awareness of life and its constant flow as the foundation of everything. Consciousness is, we could describe it, or at least we could try to describe it as being impersonal, because it just is. And yet it is the most personal, intimate thing there is. It's the I am that Jesus spoke about when he said, I and my Father are one. I guess he didn't say I am, but you get the point. Or what Meister Eckhart referred to when he said, the eye with which I see God is the same eye with which God sees me. You know, and I hear in Holmes' quotes the understanding of our non-duality, of our oneness with this presence, with consciousness, which is what we're talking about when we speak about consciousness. Everything exists within consciousness. Life is not something to be endured. It is to be lived in joy, in fullness, without limits. This sounds like living in God consciousness to me. You know, consciousness can't step outside of itself to experience itself objectively. It's not an I see you experience, it's an I am you experience. Consciousness isn't a subject-object experience, at least the way I have experienced it. It's all subjective. We are one. You know, I heard it described, and I love this, like asking love if it loves you. Of course it does. That's what it is. Or asking the ocean, well, would you get this wet? Or would you get this wet? Or this wet? And the ocean would reply, of course I would. All I am is wet. All consciousness does is get things wet. It's wet. Even when we're not aware that we're wet, we're wet. And when I think of the meaning of life as living life fully, it just sounds like diving right into the ocean, immersing ourselves in its wetness. And I hope that makes sense. Like I said, consciousness is not the easiest thing to describe, much like God, which we use synonymously. To live life is to be fully immersed in the realization, the embodiment, the experience of our oneness with God consciousness, to be wet. So now the question becomes, how do we want to live and live fully? Do we want to live in the wetness of God consciousness, or do we want to live believing that the physical world is more real than the invisible world, the world that we experience when we pull back from our five senses and really immerse ourselves in the reality that is beyond time and space? We do this often, usually through meditation, but it can happen in any state of being. You know, do we want to live in the wetness of God consciousness? And remember, the physical world is simply the condensation. I like that word. Michael Beckwith uses that word. I bought it from him, but borrowed it from him, but it fits. The physical world is the condensation of our individual and our collective ideas, beliefs, and opinions, and points of view, and perceptions that have condensed themselves into the world of appearances. And because we have free will, we have agency over our lives, and we can decide, do I want to live my life in the consciousness of God? Do I want to feel that presence? Or do I want to live my life constantly trying to rearrange things in the physical world so that I can be comfortable? Do I want to live life believing that as soon as I get things right in my physical world and my human dailiness, then I'll have what I need, then I'll be happy, then I'll be fulfilled and experience joy? Or do I want to live my life knowing that I have everything I need to live my life fully within the consciousness of God, which is within me right now? And I can allow that consciousness of God to be the cause of my life. So that when I lose my job, or I get stuck in traffic, or I have a disagreement with someone, or I get a diagnosis that I don't want, I can still know that everything is actually going to be all right. That within the challenge, the solution already exists within God consciousness. And that I have everything within me that I need to respond to this play of life that is in front of me. And that I can choose how to respond from a place of peace and love and wholeness. Probably after I freak out a little bit, of course, but you know, or I can choose to put my attention on the things I want to experience and embody the feeling tone and the vibration of what I know is already true within this consciousness of God, and by extension within me, within all of us. I read a story about the psychoanalyst Viktor Frankl. He's probably most well known for his book, Man's Search for Meaning. But the story says that when he was about 13 years old, one of his teachers declared that all of life is nothing but a process of material combustion. And the story goes that Frankl leapt up and said, "Sir, if that's so, then what is the meaning of life?" And that question intensely preoccupied him for years. And as a young therapist, he went so far as to set up suicide prevention centers all around Vienna, helping people that were on the verge of self-destruction to find meaning in their own lives. And then, of course, came World War II, and Frankl was thrown into a concentration camp. And he realized that the questions we often ask ourselves, what do I want from life? What can I do to make myself happy? Are not actually the right questions. The real question is, what is life asking of me? And I think this goes hand in hand with what Holmes is saying. He's asking us how we want to show up. Will we allow our heart's desire, which is also God's will, they're one and the same, to flow through our lives every day, moment by moment? Can we allow ourselves to live in the fullness of God consciousness? This is living life. You know, I've come to know that a life spent receiving the flow of God's goodness and then giving back from the overflow, giving in service to the whole, is really a joyous and a fulfilling life, very much like Ralane described when she was telling her story. And we're part of the whole. Giving and receiving are just two sides of the very same coin. And we all, by great, magnificent design, have these unique individual gifts to bring to life in the world, you know, and we can cultivate our giving and how we show up, and that really brings great joy into our individual lives. It really does. So what did Hobbes mean when he said that life is not something that has to be endured, or that what really matters is that while we live, we live? I suppose each of us really has to decide that for ourselves. But what I hear, some of which I've actually already shared with you, is that life does not have to be something we just survive. Life is already set up for us to thrive. And that doesn't mean we're not going to have challenges. Of course we will. But we can engage with them living with the backdrop of God consciousness, if you will, allowing and welcoming the divine flow that naturally wants to move through us. You know, just like a seed that's given the right conditions, it will naturally unfold into its inherent potential. An acorn becomes an oak, or how a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly. God knows what to do. It moves through life. It expresses, especially if it's unencumbered and unlimited. God consciousness naturally flows through us. And we just have to cultivate the right environment for it to flourish. Everything we need has already been given. Our part is to allow or to yield to the flow, to make it welcome, to drop our doubts and our worries, you know, to examine our thinking and our feeling, and have a clear intention of how we want to feel, and then to practice living from that feeling, greeting life with an attitude of gratitude and a sense of laughter and levity. And this is what I hear Holmes saying in these quotes that I've shared with you: to allow, to intend, to practice, and then just to laugh and enjoy life. You know, and this idea of allowing, it can be a little tricky. Sometimes we call it surrender. I kind of like to say yielding to, or making welcome, whatever we call it. It's opening to that constant flow of God's good, of God's will. The will of God is always flowing towards a greater expression of life, a greater expression of itself through us. God's will and our heart's desire, as I said, are one and the same. I always have to remember that because it's so easy to think that God's will might be something apart from me. But God's will and my heart's desire, they're one and the same. I'm here to be that unique expression. And there have been times when I really wasn't sure how to allow or to surrender, especially when I'm right in the middle of things, when I'm right in the thick of something, when I'm not exactly sure how to do that. When I haven't yet let go of the things that the world has told me are true, when actually they may not necessarily be true because they're based in lack or limitation. But this is when I find it useful to just take a breath, just take a beat and pause and drop into that infinite possibility that's always available within the God consciousness that is me. Because remember, my heart's desire and God's will are one and the same. And as we embody our heart's desire more and more, no, this is who we really are, it will demonstrate in our lives. Creative law will always demonstrate who we are. I was trying to think of an example, and the best example I can think of, and I know I've shared this story before, but not for a long time, so I'll share it again. This is the best example that I can think of for just trusting and surrendering myself to the way God wants to flow through me. Well, I can actually think of quite a few things, but this is the best example. And it's the time when I was in Grants Pass, and the Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living asked me to step into their part-time spiritual director. They couldn't afford to hire me full-time. I was still in ministerial school. I think I still had another year or two to go, but I was already active in kind of leading the church. But here was the thing, I was still teaching elementary school full-time. I was a pretty busy girl at that time. And I couldn't do it all. I tried. I couldn't do it all. And I'd received a letter of intent to sign from the school district for the upcoming school year. And I had to decide, should I sign it or should I let go of my teaching position and do some just part-time ministry and trust that it will work into a full-time position? And my head was saying, don't do it. And my heart was saying, yes, trust and let go and allow. And I finally went with my heart. And I decided that I had to follow my call to ministry, and that I hadn't been led this far just to be dropped on my head when things got tough. So I went to my principal rather than signing my letter of intent. And I told him that I wasn't going to sign my letter. And he understood. He was really very nice about it. And as I got up to leave, I said, but I will be substituting because I'm going to need to supplement my income. So you'll still see me around. And he paused and he said, oh, really? Well, how would you like to have a job share? And I replied, well, that is exactly what I really wanted to do, but I didn't think it was possible, so I didn't ask. I limited my own heart's desire, but the flow of God's good brought it to me anyway. So I went on to have a job share with my dear friend, still in touch with her, Annie Blanchard, for 6 years. And it was a delightful partnership. I learned so much for her, and I'm so grateful. And my heart's desire and God's will were one and the same. Allowing and yielding and making welcome. Even if I didn't verbalize it, I did trust and let go. I was able to do that. It's not always easy. So, and another thing, living in the flow of God allows our uniqueness and our value and our divinity to shine. You know that quote by Hafiz, the poet? He said, what did he say? He said, the place where you are right now, God circled on a map for you. It's like you're always supported. You're always living within the circle of the divine, reminding us that we're these individualized expressions of God right where we are, and that we're empowered to hold an intention for how we want to live and live fully. And holding an intention is is really just consciously using the spiritual technology, if you will, of the creative law. It doesn't mean we have to make things happen. It means we're saying with our thoughts and our feelings and our state of being, our vibration, this is what I intend for my life. This is what my heart's desire wants to express as my life, and the good and the love and the abundance of God. It will draw that forward. Our intention points the way. It keeps us focused. Our intentions keep us from getting distracted by those cultural limits that say, this isn't possible for you. Just like I thought the job share wasn't possible for me. Intentions are supported by faith and trust in the infinite giving of God. And those intentions open the doors, just like my job share. You know, I held fast to knowing that if I take a leap of faith here, my good will come. And then once we have our intention, we practice our intention. I was listening to Michael Beckwith the other day. I love to listen to him. He has some real jewels. And he said something that really rang true for me. He said, I love this. He said, practice doesn't make perfect. It's the practice of perfection that makes perfect. And I don't know about you, but up until now, I'm qualifying that. I often am really good at practicing the things I don't want to see demonstrate in my life. You know, I can practice through worry and doubt and fear and all manner of negative thoughts and feelings, you know, of my judgments or negative assumptions or stories that aren't true, that I repeat to myself over and over. It isn't practice that makes perfect. It's what we're practicing that makes perfect. So if I am practicing the perfection that I already am in God, then I'm drawing that intention forward. You know, and I can confidently tell you that when I practice living with God consciousness as the backdrop of my life, I am practicing the perfection of God. And that's what demonstrates, you know, practicing perfection has kind of become a way of life for me. I'm not perfect at it, but I'm still practicing. However, I do constantly have to remind myself who I am and how powerful practicing perfection is, and staying focused on my intention so that I can draw forward my heart's desire. And finally, we have to have a sense of humor. We really have to have a sense of humor about life. I was watching an old podcast of the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu. Desmond Tutu passed away a few years ago, I think. So it was older because he was alive. And they were on this panel. These two holy men were on this panel, and they were great friends when Tutu was alive. They were really good friends. And they were greeting each other on the stage as they came together for this panel. And, you know, I was kind of expecting to see this holy, solemn moment when these two holy men met together. And that's not what happened at all. One of them whispered something to the other, and they both burst into laughter. All they did was laugh. That was their greeting. That was the joy they experienced with each other. And I can't help but think that that's what Holmes meant when he said, while we live, we live. To grab hold of every moment, to love, to connect, to laugh with each other. And surely there are those moments when quiet compassion and silent contemplation are called for. But Holmes was telling us to go for the gusto, to live out loud, to step into our creative agency and then let it roll through us. You know, as I was putting together my talk, I heard the words of Franz Kafka running through my head. And he says exactly the same thing. So I'm going to leave you with his powerful and brilliant words. He said, it is not necessary that you leave the house. Remain at your table and listen. You don't even have to listen, only wait. Do not even wait. Be wholly still and alone. The world will present itself to you for its unmasking. It can do nothing else. It will roll in ecstasy at your feet. Ah, so let's pray. Let's move into that place of God consciousness. It is who we are. We can be nothing else. We're always wet. We're always wet. Would you wet this? Of course I would. That's my nature. So we move into that nature of the immersion of our soul, of our knowing, of our awareness into the God consciousness that always is, knowing we are one with us. And that as we allow and will make welcome, as we yield to the flow, oh, we hold our intention, our heart's desire, which is also the will of God, and allow it to roll through us. We hold fast to that intention. We practice that intention through our thoughts, feeling, state of being, and our vibration. And then we let it go and we laugh with life. We are raised in the levity of living fully. So grateful, so grateful, so grateful. And we say together, and so it is. All right. Well, that was fun. Looking for glasses so I can see what I'm doing. Can't find any. Oh, well, I guess I don't. You know what, Rob, are you doing the conscious giving today?
Actually, I looked this morning and you are.
Well, then there you go.
I mean, I'm happy to do it, but go for it.
I don't really mind doing it at all. So here's the ways to give. Can you guys see this? Yeah. You can give through Venmo, through Ohm Center, or you can do a snail mail check, which is perfectly fine and graciously received as well. And there is the stuff right there on the screen. And or you can, let's see, am I doing the right thing? Ways to give, yep. Or you can you guys see this? Yes, you can. We can say our sacred giving affirmation together. I give with a grateful heart, knowing that spirit is the source and substance of all supply. I joyfully participate in the circulation of abundance. My offering blesses the world and it returns to me multiplied. I am grateful and I am prosperous. And so it is. All true. And we do appreciate, and I always want to acknowledge that the gifts that we receive from you, because it's wonderful, keeps us going. And let's see, our announcements for today are Monday evening prayer group, and Tuesday evening we'll be doing, I forget what chapters, they're still in the e-newsletter. I think it's begin at the end and then the next one, I can't recall. But anyway, I was going to bring the book in and I forgot. So it's all right. We will be meeting this Tuesday. And there's no prayer group this week because there was last week. So we'll skip this week and then first and third Wednesday. And then let's see, Jesse's coming. Yeah, Jesse will be here next week. And then the Levens will be here the week after. So we have some live music. We haven't had any in a while. So we'll be having some live music coming up here too. And then Ohm Center will be the first Sunday in October. I want to say it's the 5th, but don't hold me to that. Might be the 3rd, I'm not sure. And yeah, that's about all we have for that. And then I should do a benediction, but I'm kind of tired of hearing my own voice. Rob, you want to do a benediction for us since I know you'll be willing.
Always happy to serve. Hey, it is a great opportunity to just settle back in our chairs and feel the chair beneath us, feel the existence all around us, and knowing that all of that existence is only one thing. It's all one thing as we are that one thing, and we can feel that unity right now. And feeling that unity, we notice that it feels really good. We notice that it is our nature to feel good. We notice that it is our nature to experience the joy that permeates all existence. We are feeling that right now, and we are so grateful that that is always available to us 24/7, 365. It is a gift that we have received and we graciously accept. And right now, I am feeling grateful for this opportunity to be together. I am feeling grateful for Ralane and her kindness that she gives to all throughout her entire life, to all the animals and all the people in her life, including the disabled people that she has known. And I am so grateful that Michelle has been able to share with us all that there is about consciousness, because I love hearing Michelle talk about consciousness. Consciousness is everything. And it is the nature of the universe, and what a great thrill to get together and behold the consciousness that is the universe. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for all that we have and all that is coming to us today and forever and ever. I release my word, and together we say, and so it is.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Rob. That was lovely. So I have a closing. This was the song I was going to play before the service, but I think Use Me was very appropriate. But this is a fun song too. This is Melissa Felipe.
I was sitting on the porch, thinking about tomorrow and all the things I want to be. Working hard to pay the bills were catching up with me, and then I stumbled on the key. I've been walking along the path, following my shadow, 'cause that was all that I could see. When I turn around to find the light, thinking it might set me free, I realized it's shining from me. Oh, heaven's in my heart. I know that's a miracle. Heaven's in my heart, and that's all I need. Now I know where to turn whenever I feel lonely, 'cause now I know I have a choice. I can whimper in my pain or sing out in my loudest voice. Today I have a reason to stand up and rejoice, 'cause heaven's in my heart, and I know that's a miracle. Heaven's in my heart, and that's all I need. Never again afraid to fly, knowing my faith will carry me back to the place where the love resides. It's right here in that's all I need.
That's all we need. I love her. She's so great. I am going to go ahead and stop her recording.